Here's what happened. Since about February of this year, ICE has been raiding entire apartment complexes, claiming that almost every single person who lives in the apartments is Tren de Agua gang members. And the evidence that Kash Patel is presenting for why he thinks that every single person living in an apartment complex is a member of a gang is this. There was graffiti on a door that said Venezuela.
Meanwhile.
So for those who was questioning about who I am and where I'm at, this is Adam Clayton Powell. This is the building that everyone is in an uproar about. So as I said, South Shore, this is your community, your neighborhood, and this building was not majority black when the ICE came the other day. This building was overran by illegal Venezuelan gangs. And I just had several conversations with residents who are moving their stuff out of here that confirmed that. So stop letting media put that false narrative in your head that somebody coming for you, because they not.
Exactamundo.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks, because this is where truth, pop culture, and politics meet. So I wanted to come on and talk about Chicago, because Chicago has been at the forefront of news all week. If it wasn't Trump sending a guard to Chicago, it was Mayor MOHAWK, Brandon Johnson. Okay, we're talking about him. We're talking about ICE. We're talking about the protesters, Antifa. And we even had to talk about the story that's flying under the radar, which is the man that's going around punching all the women. Yes, the loop puncher. You can't make this stuff up. Chicago is a Democratic hellhole like the rest of the blue cities. However, I wanted to come on and talk about what's happening online, okay? There is a huge conversation about the ICE raid that happened a couple of nights ago. ICE did a raid on an apartment complex. Now, this apartment complex was known to have been taken over by a Venezuelan gang. But there were still American citizens living in this building. When the media found that out, they went berserk, especially when they found out those American citizens were black. It instantly became a talking point for the left. However, I want you guys to see the online back and forth between the liberals that just hate the fact that ICE did this, and they're trying to make it out to be a whole racial thing, per usual, all the way to American citizens that happen to be black, that were in that building, that were in that area, and that live in Chicago, saying that the media just has it wrong. Watch.
Friday night, and here's what happened. Since about February of this year, ICE has been raiding entire apartment complexes, claiming that almost every single person who lives in the apartments is Tren de Agua gang members. And the evidence that Kash Patel is presenting for why he thinks that every single person living in an apartment complex is a member of a gang is this. There was graffiti on a door that said Venezuela.
Over 300 agents from ICE, FBI, ATF, and other agents showed up to the apartment complex. They came with helicopters, some people saying they saw Black Hawk helicopters, and it seems that they also came hidden in budget and U-Haul trucks. Officials from the government said that they did this because they were looking for 6 high-priority targets, including suspected members of Tren de Agua. Agents went into nearly all of the 100 apartments that were in the complex. They were busting down doors and dragging people out of their beds. There are reports of kids being zip-tied and being taken out buck naked. Black residents who are U.S. citizens also said that they were dragged out of their apartments. They were held at gunpoint, asked to give their name, date of birth, and asked if they had any warrant. They also separated people, black people in one van and immigrants in the other van. Reports say that between 30 to 40 people were disappeared that night. Activists are trying to figure out who were the people that were disappeared, since the government is not giving any information on the individual.
For those who was questioning about who I am and where I'm at, this is Adam Clayton Powell. This is the building that everyone is in an uproar about. So as I said, South Shore, this is your community, your neighborhood, and this building was not majority black when the ICE came the other day. Yes, black people were affected, but this building was overran by illegal Venezuelan gangs. And I just had several conversations with residents who are moving their stuff out of here that confirmed that. So stop letting media put that false narrative in your head that somebody coming for you, because they not. You was born here. You was born on this land. Rise up and stand up on something, and stop letting any and everybody tell you something.
All right, so you guys just saw that. That's the sentiment online. You have the liberals on one side saying ICE are treating people unfairly. You have the Latinos and the black people outside, and they're just doing them absolutely wrong. They're in U-Haul vans. They're getting disappeared. American citizens are just disappearing. Yeah, that's what they're saying on that side. And then you have black residents literally saying that this building has been overrun, okay? The illegals are all in their side of town, and they're all in that building, as well as other buildings in other places across Chicago, okay? They have been pushed aside, and the money and the taxpayers are paying for the illegal migrants and preferably some of these gangs. You can't make it up. Mayor Brandon Johnson is the worst politician. However, I want to get into something that young lady said. She said, don't let the media just tell you anything and you go with it. And that's exactly what CNN, Commie News Network, is doing. And you already know the program. Yes, Abby Phillips, where bald-headed reasoning and TDS runs high. Watch.
We have a situation in which American cities are at the center of this ICE crackdown, and there's indiscriminate use of force against Americans, non-Americans, people here legally, people here illegally. And on the right, nobody seems to care. In fact, they love it.
I saw a video from a local station in Chicago, and residents of a community there were describing an ICE raid and like what they saw. Two things struck me. One, they were talking about things that happened to them. They were talking about how they were treated in this ICE raid. These are the people that, I guess, by virtue of being born here in America, are entitled to being treated like human beings. The second thing is that they were all Black. And I'm going to say something. We saw this coming. Mm-hmm. We knew the neighborhoods where these ICE raids would take place. We knew that a lot of these things wouldn't happen in Beverly Hills or in Coconut Grove or any of those places like that.
Yeah, Van Lathan is a professional race baiter because other than that, he doesn't know anything about politics, all right? He barely knows anything about the topics that they talk about. However, Van Lathan is sitting here talking about, yeah, we knew this was coming because they don't go to Beverly Hills. They don't go to this because that's where the white liberals live, okay? The white liberals don't want those illegal migrants in their town, okay, or in their side of town. Of course not, all right? As long as they stay where the Black folks are, it's fine, okay? As long as they stay in the poor part of town, it's fine. Why doesn't Van know that? The illegal migrants have taken over schools that should have been used for the community. They shut them down, but yet they turn around and open them back up for illegal migrants. Yeah, liberals play a dirty game, and Van Lathan knows it, but they don't care. The media is only interested in race baiting and giving you exactly what they want you to have, victimhood.
That there would be collateral damage, that there would be trauma that would be inflicted on our communities. We knew that people would be detained, scared. We knew that children would have to see things that they shouldn't have to see. And all of this for political theater so that we look tough on immigration for everyone. It's a horror show.
Well, one detail that's been left out is that they were targeting Tren de Aragua.
Exactly.
And so Tren de Aragua is a violent transnational gang. They send illegal immigrants here to the United States. They traffic drugs, they traffic people, they commit violence. They inflict misery everywhere they go. And 37 people were arrested. That was the purpose of the raid, the targeting of Tren de Aragua, some of the most violent people in our hemisphere. And when they come here, nothing good happens. That was
okay, so if it was targeting, I don't think anybody has a problem with targeting. Right. When you clear out an apartment building and you zip tie children and you arrest and detain everyone. Scott, hold on, Scott. You and me, we're talking here, okay? If they arrest children, they arrest everyone, citizens and non-citizens, for hours, detain them, deprive them of their liberty, for no matter how long. You are fine with that.
They didn't arrest children, but
I didn't say they arrested them. They put them in.
That's what she just said. That's literally what she just said. She said they arrest children. You see, bald-headed reason right there. A lie is a lie is a lie. Okay? Liberals do this all the time. Ma'am, you just said if they arrest children, they never arrested children. Okay? People do get detained. I mean, I don't understand. Do you guys not ever see, like Dallas SWAT or anything? Have you guys not ever seen an operation? A targeted operation go into a building. Yes, some people will be detained until they figure it out. That's just what happens when you have a warrant and you go in, okay? I don't understand what these people are talking about. You get detained. If you have done nothing, you get let go because that is your right. You cannot be detained for nothing. Well, unless you're under the Obama administration where,
ties. But if that makes a difference to you, go ahead.
Here's what makes a difference to me. If the federal government knows that there is a nest of Tren de Aragua in a city like Chicago, they have a responsibility. They have an obligation to go get them. It is unfortunate, to answer your question, that there are children put in harm's way by these violent gangs. But that is going to be the reality.
Or is it unfortunate or is it a violation of their rights is the question? Because, I mean, in this country, we have rights against searches and illegal
you're suggesting
searches
these children should be effectively human shields for Tren de Aragua.
What I'm asking, hold on, I want to make it clear. I know that Tren de Aragua and gangs and whatever, it's a catch-all to treat people however you want, to go in there and shred the Constitution or whatever else it is that you want to do. What I'm asking you is this. Do you think that children should have been zip-tied and pulled out of an apartment complex and traumatized like that? Yes or no?
I don't think children should be put in harm's way by transnational gangs.
Just answer the question. Yes or no? Do you think that children?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
I'm asking
the government's not putting children in harm's way. Tren de Aragua.
Real calm now. Real calm. Like
they're the ones putting children in harm's way.
Gentlemen and gentlemen, we have a responsibility for the way we treat people with the power that we have here in America. And we have a standard that we should treat human life with. And I'm asking you very clearly, concisely, should children be treated that way? Does Scott Jennings like that?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
All right, cool.
I don't believe that the premise of your question is accurate. I would ask you back. Should children be allowed to live in an apartment building with Tren de Aragua? Should the entire community of Chicago have to live with Tren de Aragua because they hide behind these children?
But here's the thing.
That's my question.
I think the answer to that is clear. No, they should not be put in harm's way. But the difference is in this situation is I don't want to be Tren de Aragua. I don't want my law enforcement to act like Tren de Aragua. That is the distinction.
You don't want to leave it? Do you just want to leave it and say, well, they have kids in there, let's just move on?
No, but can't law enforcement figure out a way? I don't think this is the first time children have been in an environment where dangerous people have been around them. And I'm most certain that in most of those circumstances, those children aren't zip tied and carried out like animals.
Where are they getting this zip tie story? Because let's be clear, with all that was going on, if children were outside zip tied, and I do mean like for everyone to see, it would be on camera. I need to see like an abundance of videos, okay? Because they, everybody has a phone nowadays. Everybody pulls out a phone. Everybody sees everything, okay? And when they were doing these raids, there were a lot of people out there. So I want to see the actual videos of zip-tied naked children outside. Like, it's absolutely nuts, okay? I don't believe not a minute of it. When you have children involved in a raid, it is up to the federal officers to keep up with them. They're trying to make it as if this is some attack on Black people, as if this is some attack making them look like slaves and they're throwing them into trucks and disappearing Black people. Like, this is absolutely nuts. Scott Jennings is the only one with some damn sense because the rest of them have TDS and are just stupid. Now, speaking of stupid, I want to get into Mayor MOHAWK, okay? We know stupid is and stupid does, and he is and does. He was on MSNBC 13 this weekend doing what he does best. Talk about nothing, say nothing of use, and wasting the good people of Chicago's tax dollars. Watch.
Agents approached or entered nearly every apartment in this 5-story building, and U.S. citizens were among those detained for hours. Agents claimed the neighborhood was, quote, a location known to be frequented by Tren de Aragua members and their associates. But DHS, of course, gave no evidence to support that assertion, and authorities did not confirm that any of the people arrested were members of the Venezuelan gang. Joining us now is Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Mayor Johnson, thank you so much for coming. I want to start with the raid because for so long, the American people have felt safe in their homes from a lot of the things that are going around in the streets, whether it's these immigration raids or the Marines in LA or whatever. But this is coming to the front doorsteps of people in your community, in your city, who are American citizens, who no evidence has been shown that they are a part of Tren de Aragua or even any of the other folks that were in that building a part of that. Talk a little bit about what it is like for the people in that apartment building to feel so under siege.
Well, the tensions are certainly high in the city of Chicago. What the president is doing is absolutely dangerous and unconstitutional. But our position is clear. We're going to remain resolved and firm in our position to protect the rights of all of our residents. What you are describing is something that we have been warning about for some time, that there are a number of people, including the President of the United States of America, that have decided to declare war on poor people and on working people across the country. And this raid that you are describing was on the south side of Chicago, where Black folks live. And it is evident that this is not about safety. It's not about deportation. This is about the President of the United States of America and his kind that are looking to stoke and foment chaos and fear within our streets of cities across America. But we're going to remain firm and we're going to fight back against this tyranny.
Mayor MOHAWK is the tyrant. How is he the tyrant, you say? You took people that you did not vet, you took them and threw them into a community that's already ravaged. Everybody knows the south side of Chicago has a lot of gang violence, so they're already dealing with that. And then you throw Venezuelan gangs in. He hasn't talked about how they're finding all of those bodies, you know, in Chicago's river. Yeah, they're finding a lot of bodies. I wonder where they're coming from. Now, how come you couldn't allot any tax dollars to deal with the gang violence on the south side of Chicago, but you had enough money to actually go and spend on the illegal migrants and put them in housing, free housing, okay? They didn't have to sign up for anything. They didn't have to wait on a waiting list, okay? They didn't have to stay in a shelter. They end up getting apartments right away with Chicago taxpayers' money. You can't make it up. So if anybody's a tyrant, it is this idiot, Mayor MOHAWK.
The Trump administration, they are completely delusional right now. And what they are promulgating in this particular moment are not just unconstitutional measures, but they're dangerous and reckless. And it's antithetical to who we are as a nation. You know, what I've done in the city of Chicago, I've signed 2 sweeping executive orders, one to make sure that the residents of this city know their rights and that there's real clear engagement with our law enforcement, not wearing any masks, being identifiable, and being also very clear about protecting the rights of all of our residents. The second thing is we made sure that we're protecting the right to protest. This is something that's fundamental to our democracy. The peacefully assembling of individuals to petition their government to do right by the people of this nation is something that is fundamental, and it's part of the bedrock of our nation. When it comes to Black, brown, white, Asian, working class people, this president has not only been a disappointment, but again, he has worked hard to relitigate the Civil War. And we're not going to stand for it. But she has no idea what she's talking about. And there are protests that are happening all over the country that are demanding justice in this moment.
Mayor MOHAWK doesn't understand Chicago, doesn't care about Chicago, and honestly and truly doesn't care about Black people. He's literally a blackface. So I want to get into this last part here because you can't make this stuff up. Chicago is a hellhole because what's happening now is the violence is revving up and someone just took their car, tried to ram it into ICE agents and got shot. You can't make it up. Watch.
In Chicago, violence escalating between protesters and ICE agents here. A woman was shot after she allegedly attempted to hit federal officers with her car. Then in Broadview, Illinois, that's about a half hour west of the city, the Department of Homeland Security is reporting that law enforcement officers were rammed by vehicles and boxed in by 10 cars. That's where we find News Nation's Mills Hayes. Mills, what are you seeing out there today?
Hi, Kelly. Well, there are more protesters that have started to come here to this Broadview ICE facility. We know there's some more activity. Also, where that woman was shot, you mentioned that. Now, we also know that Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says that President Trump plans to federalize 100 Illinois National Guard troops to help protect ICE personnel and facilities. We expect this crowd here at the Broadview ICE facility to grow throughout the night. Now, meanwhile, DHS is speaking out after a woman was shot by federal law enforcement officers after allegedly trying to ram Border Patrol agents with her car. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem posting on X saying, quote, members of our brave law enforcement were attacked, rammed, and boxed in by 10 vehicles, including an attacker with a semi-automatic weapon, adding that she is deploying more special operations to control the scene. The FBI is investigating, and the woman is in critical condition at the hospital. Protesters responding nearby the incident, angry about ICE activity in the area. One woman saying her son, who is a U.S. citizen, was detained earlier today by immigration officials. All of this happening after Secretary Noem's visit to the Broadview ICE facility, where protests have been intense. She did not take questions from the press. Border Patrol Commander at Large Gregory Bovino leading the arrest outside the facility on Friday. DHS says that 13 quote, rioters were arrested during the standoff, with Illinois State Police joining federal law enforcement officers in trying to keep protesters back. Meanwhile, Operation Midway Blitz enforcement operations continue. This video showing the moments that federal law enforcement deployed tear gas from their SUV in front of a Hispanic grocery store while community activists tried to impede ICE vehicles. A similar situation outside a local hospital where tear gas was deployed while protesters tried to block law enforcement vehicles. Chicago alderperson Jesse Fuentes was briefly put in handcuffs at that hospital after trying to get more information about an undocumented man who was injured during an arrest. And at the hospital, protesters saying that there is no need for the National Guard.
We're here today because we don't know what else to do. I mean, what's happening in this country is insane. I heard just this morning, first thing, of a father of a student in my children's school district being kidnapped by ICE and taken. I don't know all the details, but this is affecting communities. It's affecting everyone.
And I reached out to Chicago Public Schools. That they confirmed to me that there were federal law enforcement immigration officers near an elementary school in Logan Square neighborhood just yesterday. And they continue to say that the safest place for students and staff is still at school, despite that activity around the school there, Kelly.
All right, so you guys just saw all of that. So here are my thoughts. Let's pour it up. Chicago is a Democratic hellhole run by Mayor MOHAWK, who doesn't know what he's doing. Chicago is bankrupt. They're taking taxpayer funds and giving it to illegal gang members and just illegals, period. On top of that, instead of moving them into the nice communities or the white liberal communities, they move them into communities that are already ravaged. They know exactly what they're doing. The illegal migrants steal all of the resources from the poorer areas, and then there's not enough to go around. So now you still have the people that were poor before are still poor now, and they're American. They go and say that black people are being affected by everything that Donald Trump is doing, when they wouldn't have been affected by anything that Donald Trump is doing, because they wouldn't have had illegal migrants in their buildings. They wouldn't have had illegal migrants taking all of their resources. And instead of Mayor MOHAWK letting Donald Trump's administration go ahead and get these illegal migrants out of these places and out of the jails, they want to stop them at every turn. Thus having these agents having to go into communities that already don't trust the police, because the police force in Chicago is so corrupt, it doesn't make any sense. They're just as corrupt as the rest of the politicians. And they don't care. And that's what liberals do. They don't care anything about black people, because Mayor Brandon Johnson, Lori Lightfoot, Rahm Emanuel, Barack Obama, nobody from Chicago actually improved the situation of poor people in Chicago. They're advocating for these illegals. They're letting loose gang members. They're letting loose violent people that are just dumping people in the river. And they don't care. Malcolm X said, that person, that man, that white person saying that they are liberal is the most dangerous thing in the Western Hemisphere. And I stand by that 100%, because Chicago shows and proves that every day. However, you may think I'm wrong. So you guys get down in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think about everything that's going on in Chicago this whole week. Like, you see all of this stuff. You see the things happening at the schools. You see the raids. You see the protesters. You see people getting shot. You see this, that, and the third. It's a mess. You guys get down in the comments, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for all your financial support. It helps this channel grow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's your girl, Mika, and I'm out. Peace.